Hey friends, it's Mrs. Davis and my friendly bulldog here dressed up for winter. It is so chilly outside. But we are going to talk a little bit about equivalent fractions. So just as a review, fractions have a numerator and they have a denominator. Remember, the numerator is the number up top and the denominator is the number below. And the numerator tells us how many, and the denominator tells us how many equal parts there are in all. Okay, so you can see that there are 2 parts shaded, so that would be our numerator, and there are 4 total parts that are equal in that shape. So we're going to continue practicing fractions this rest of this month, and we're going to talk a little bit more about fractions that equal one another, even though they might have different numbers, and it's not going to just be like 2/4 equals 2/4. We're going to talk a little bit about equivalent fractions. So we're going to use some pictures to help us with that. So over here it says fractions can have different numerators and denominators and have the same value. These fractions name the same parts of a whole and are called equivalent fractions. For example, the picture below shows the equivalent fractions 2/3. Okay, this is 2/3 and 4/6. Okay, and I'm going to prove it to you. If you just take a step back, okay, sit back for a second and take a look, you can see that this part that's shaded is the same as this part that's shaded. Do you see how both of those shapes are the same exact size, and this part that's shaded is the same as this part? And I'm going to show you that 2/3 does equal 4/6. And I'm going to show it to you with math now, okay? So let me put that over here. So 2/3 times something equals 4/6. And remember back when we learned multiplication, we learned anything times 1, we learned that identity property. Anything times 1 equals itself. And so we learned with fractions that we can have a numerator and then like a fraction with a numerator and the denominator the same, and that equals 1. So we can say like 3/3 equals 1, 2/2 equals 1, 5/5 equals 1. So I can use one of those fractions to multiply times 2/3 to get 4/6. So I can ask myself, 2 times what equals 4? Well, I know 2, 4, that's 2. 2 times 2 does equal 4. And I can ask myself, what does 3 times something equal 6? What is 3 times something that equals 6? And 3 times the same number, 2, does equal 6. And so I know that 2/2, remember that does equal 1 whole, right? So we're doing 2/3 and we're multiplying that by the fraction 2/2. And so 2 times 2 is 4, 3 times 2 is 6. So I'm proving it to you in pictures that 2/3 and 4/6 is the same. And I'm also proving it to you with numbers that 2/3 and 4/6 is the same, because remember, anything times 1 is itself. And so we multiplied 2/3 times 1, or 2/2, which equals 1, to get 4/6. Let's keep going. All right, so we can count the number of equal parts and the number of shaded parts. We're trying to find 2 equivalent fractions that name the shaded parts of the circle. So that's what we're going to be working on today, is looking at pictures. So over here, we can see that we have 2/4 of this circle that's shaded in. And so if we erase this middle line and we now divide the same circle into only half, and we shade the same part, okay, and we shade that same part. So how much would be shaded for this one? So I have 1 part out of 2 that are shaded. So the fractions 1/2 and 2/4 are equivalent fractions, and they name the parts that are shaded in the circle. Okay, so we're going to continue practicing this a little bit more tonight for homework, and we'll continue practicing the rest of this week too, guys. Thanks for working so hard for me. Keep it up. Bye.